Mukunda Charana Dasa. Well, I'm a monk here in the ashram in San Diego, and I spend half my time here and half my time at another property where we take care of some cows and we grow some flowers for the deities and some vegetables also for cooking offerings for the deities. And that's maybe 45 minutes north. So I'm there half the time and I'm here half the time. And so I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for not so long as far as monks go. I was a student in university, and then I was just visiting California, and I met some monks who invited me to class, so I started studying Bhagavad Gita with them, and they allowed me to stay in the ashram for some time before going back to school, and then they just let me stay and keep practicing Krishna consciousness with them. And so that was maybe 3.5 years ago, maybe a little.
Yes, my name is Balaram Das. So yeah, I grew up here in San Diego. When I was 16 years old, I got one of Srila Prabhupada's books, or that's the short version of his name. The long version is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So there's some of his books here. So this is him. Oh, I have a bigger picture here. So that's him right there. So I got one of his books, and what I mean by his books is that he was the one who translated these ancient texts from Sanskrit into English. Like, for example, this is Bhagavad Gita. So this is a book of 700 verses, Sanskrit verses, and he translated them into English. So he came about 50 years ago. So yeah, I got one of his books when I was 16, and I read the book, and I liked it very much, and I thought it was very inspiring. So I visited this temple here in Pacific Beach. Yeah, everything, the people, the festivals, the music, everything was wonderful to me. So I was visiting for about a year, 17 to 18, and then I joined the temple when I was 18. I was waiting to turn 18, and then I turned 18 and I joined the temple. So now I am 30.
The Murti, it represents, well, actually, I wouldn't say it represents Krishna. I see it, it is Krishna. Yeah, the Murti is Krishna. So we have different Murtis on the altar, and those Murtis are Krishna and his different forms and associates, spiritual personalities. And the major aspect is that with the Murti is that we have the great benefit of having the Murti with us all the time, and then we can meditate on the Murti, and we very naturally meditate on the Murti.
Well, it's all based on service. I mean, you learn how to serve Krishna because Krishna's there. You may offer incense or flowers and so on. And in many ways, the idea is not super foreign to us. I mean, why do we, you go to anybody's house, right, and they have pictures of their mother, of their father, of their dog, or whatever, their sister, or brother, their friends. They have pictures. And you frame it. Now, if someone was to come up to, I mean, God forbid, right? If someone was to come up to us and, take the picture of our father, someone just, throw it on the ground. Of course, that's not our father, you could say, but it represents our father. Now, of course, in the deity, it's different, but the same idea is there, that we serve, Krishna through by serving the deity form of Krishna, and the relationships that go around that are just relationships. They should be loving relationships. That's the idea.
And the significance of the Murti is that it's not just that we're trying to reach the divine and we have no conception of what the divine is, but actually there is the divine right in front of us, and it's just a matter of actually focusing on it and properly respecting and caring for the divine that's right there before you. I use Balaram so that to remember Balaram kind of like that. I guess. But yeah, not so much in like a symbolic way, like I hold on to a paper clip that my mother gave me to remember my mother. Kind of more like I talk to my mother to remember my mother, kind of like that. So yeah, I would say we use the Murtis of Krishna to remember Krishna, basically because yeah, there's a relationship.
So yeah, the idea behind Krishna consciousness or the Krishna tradition is that ultimately, you know, everybody has these different concepts of God, right? Like some people have a concept of God because he's the oldest person, therefore he must look old. He must have gray hair and a long beard and right, stuff like that. Or whatever people's concept of God. Some people think God's just like a light with no personality. So within the Krishna tradition, God is a person, and he's the supreme person. And person means there's a form, just like we're persons. We're sitting here, right? Maya and Jonathan and Balaram. So we're persons because, you know, we have vision, the smell, the taste, the hearing, the form is there. So similarly, Krishna has a form like, you could say we have a form like Krishna's, but Krishna's form is eternal. There's no disease or death, any of that nasty stuff. And he's always ever youthful, young. He doesn't go past 16. So yeah, he's a person, and the most beautiful person. So you could, you know, in this world, we're attracted to people because whatever they have, bodily beauty means, you know, they're handsome or they're beautiful or whatever, or they have some wealth, or they're detached. You know, like people they know, Mother Teresa. She's detached means she's give up her comfort for the sake of others, like that. So whatever these good qualities we see in others or attractive qualities, Krishna has those to an unlimited degree. So you can imagine how attractive Krishna must be. Now, it's then people think, okay, well, what about me? You know, where does that put me? You know, is Krishna just there? And hey, what about me? You know, the idea is we're connected to Krishna. You know, and that relationship becomes very beautiful. So the idea is that we cannot see Krishna or God with our present eyes. All we see is matter. We don't see anything else. We can't see spirit. So the idea is that within the Vedic literature there is descriptions of what Krishna looks like exactly. What his eyes look like. His eyes are like lotus petals, right? On and on and on like that. So according to those descriptions found in, you know, Bhagavad Gita, well, specifically not Bhagavad Gita, but other books, a form is carved of Krishna. So it may be made out of marble, wood, etc. So, and there's a whole ceremony, and the idea is that, as our friend Mukunda was saying before me, he was saying that the deity is accepted as Krishna because we can't see. So the significance of the deity is that we're able to see the form of Krishna rather than just the forms in this world. So that's the idea, that meditation aspect. Yeah, the understanding that, you know, Krishna's God, so, and we're meant to love him, meant to serve him. So again, yeah, the deity is a practical way to serve. For example, I mean, the deities are dressed every morning at 5 a.m. and every evening at 7 p.m. So they have their pajamas, right? Sounds kind of funny, but they have their pajamas at 7 p.m. and then they have their more opulent kind of dressed up clothes in the morning. And that's a way that you could say devotees or Krishna devotees can serve the deity. You know, you decorate the deity very nicely and you know, you feel that spiritual satisfaction.
I don't know anyone who's very successfully done it. I can't make a blanket statement that it's not effective, but it at least doesn't have the benefit of having something to meditate upon rather than just all these things not to meditate on. There's actually something to meditate upon that actually will purify you. So especially living with in the presence of a Murti, your whole day can be that meditation on the Murti. So from in the morning we sing prayers to the Murtis, deities, and when we cook we offer all of our cooking to the deities. And we of course have so many opportunities to offer obeisances to the deities. Really the whole day can be really centered on the deities through the Murtis. You can have your own personal sets of deities, like so some people, they have, like, there's one deity named Laddu Gopal, and it's a form of Krishna as a baby, and he's holding a little sweet, a laddu, a little sweet, and so that it's a form of Krishna, and that's a common one that people also keep at their own homes when they worship. So this is Laddu Gopal. This is Krishna as a baby. He's crawling. He has a nice little outfit on. And he's holding a little sweet called a laddu. Yeah, a Murti doesn't have to be in the temple. Actually, Murtis are absolutely encouraged for those who live outside the temple. So like the devotees, because we're monks, so we don't have jobs, we don't have families, wives, anything like that. But most devotees do. So they have deities in their own homes that they worship. So at the farm property that we have, there's a family there, and they have their own set of deities, and so they worship them. So and some might have many sets of deities that they worship.
See, but I also have a personal Murti of our spiritual teacher, Prabhupada. So it's kind of small Murti, and I offer incense, I offer flowers every day, once a day. Some places you go, Catholic places, and other places there actually Murti, like for example Murti of Mother Mary. So that's the kind of idea. Murtis of the saints. But we just bring it up to a kind of different level. It's just a more, you could say, unique, kind of far out level within people's eyes, that it's not just a saint, it's not just Mother Mary or baby Jesus, it's like God, so it's a whole nother kind of realm of thinking. Within particular traditions, they will think it's complete nonsense, complete not accepted at all. I mean, of course, within those traditions there's different people, but for the most part, I wouldn't say that, the large percentage of them think it's absolute nonsense, but they definitely don't agree with it, because they think God is, formless, there's no form, or that it's offensive, even if he had a form, to actually carve that form. Some people say you shouldn't even chant the name of God. It's just, you're not pure enough. You shouldn't do it. So like that, on and on and on. Within India, different groups, religious groups, different political groups, different countries, they would come into India and then they would smash the deities. They would get onto the altar and they would just smash the deities and take all their jewelry and like that. You could still go to some museums and see, smashed deities, and they take rings and earrings and all that. So, they clearly didn't see that was Krishna.
For one starting out, it's hard to gauge what's coming from the heart and what's coming from the mind, what's coming from all sorts of garbage. So if you're taking to a process of trying to please Krishna, worshipping the Murti, Krishna Murti, then there's a regulated way to go about doing that to help, so that you do it in a way that's not offensive and in a way that then purifies you. So kind of like at first, you follow the rules. You just kind of follow the rules. And then with that comes some appreciation for the worship and also some purification. And of course, at more advanced levels, then those rules aren't actually so necessary. The exact rituals and the times of day and things like that it's much more spontaneous and natural than that. Because, if you're more pure consciousness, then the exact times, things like that, it's not so relevant. You practically don't even, know what's going on in relation to time. Maybe you say. But anyway, but for me, and for many devotees starting out, yeah, the regulations, the rituals, the times, the schedules. It's important to develop this respect and for Krishna. I know sometimes people, if they're new, they come and they're kind of confused as to what they're supposed to do in front of the Murti, or like, yeah, what's the proper etiquette, you know? So I guess that's a little tense for people sometimes, and sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming. But most experiences I have, people are respectful and maybe they're interested or they're curious. But
so the idea is that the purpose of deity worship, which by the way is not the main process within this age, it is you could say secondary. The main process is actually to chant Hare Krishna, because that's the names of Krishna, and you don't have to have any special qualifications for that. With deity worship, you actually have to go through so many ceremonies and be externally clean, on and on like that, to actually step foot on the altar. But anybody could chant Hare Krishna. So the main process is actually chanting, but deity worship is a process that will, you could say, help the chanting, and it will help awaken that love for Krishna. So that's the idea.
Okay, I'm Neelam Bari Dasi, Jaya Gaur, Hare Krishna. I've grown up and raised in Oceanside, California, so just down the way a bit. It's about 45-minute drive to the temple, but my guru has his temple in his house, which is in Oceanside, just down the street. He has a very simple but very beautiful ashram that he's put together in the last 3 years. The Hare Krishnas are very welcoming and open and just opened us with welcome arms. So it's close, but still a little ways. So we come down here around every weekend. We try to make it every week. And then there's a temple in Escondido as well. A little temple. It's actually a farm, so there's cows and flowers, and we'd like to go pick flowers there. The Murti is just, in this lifetime and in this illusion that we have the pleasure of living, that is just the way that we personify all of our different obstacles, life, what we go through, and there's so many different gods, and it is in simplest terms, just a personification of eternity, what is beyond our existence now. I think we are very little, we're very, very little, and in our illusion that we live now, that is our connection to them, that is our succession to them. I have a little ashram at my house. It's actually Guruji just gave me a new Ganesh idol to get and put in my little shrine. Every day you wake up, you get ready for the day, and that is just taking part of your Murti, or taking care of your Murti and paying respects to them and to all of your gods, not only in every moment that you're living, but to really take time out of your day to give recognition and give thanks, and of course prasad, your whatever offerings. It's nice to be around the gods and to feel their presence, whether it be I have little elephant statues. That was my first Ganesh that symbolized Ganesh. And I have a Buddha. I'm actually half Thai, so it's definitely, Buddha is just, and everyone is. They're just different prophets, I think is a good way to put it. And yeah.